There was a time when every American mother understood that caring for her baby was not a profession. It was not a subscription to a parenting app. It was not a class she paid for at the hospital. It was simply what it meant to be a mother in her own home. She carried 10 specific remedies in her kitchen and her hands every day without ever calling them remedies. She used them without thinking about it. She passed them to her daughters without writing them down. Most modern mothers have lost them, not because babies stopped needing them, because the chain of transmission broke and a generation of women grew up believing that babyhood was something only experts could handle. Number 1 is the remedy that contained all the others. Almost no woman under 40 carries it anymore. Let me walk you through what we lost. Number 10, warm flannel on the belly for colic. When a 1950s baby cried from gas pain for the 3rd hour in a row, the mother did not call a pediatrician. She walked to the radiator, took down a clean cotton flannel cloth, warmed it until she could just barely hold the back of her hand against it, folded it twice, and laid it gently across the baby's stomach. The warmth relaxed the abdominal muscles. The gentle weight calmed the nervous system. The crying stopped within minutes. This was not magic. It was physics applied to a small body by someone who had done it 1,000 times before. The mother knew the temperature by feel. She knew the pressure by feel. She knew when to take the cloth off and when to leave it. The modern mother reaches for a bottle of gripe water or a tube of simethicone drops. She has no idea how to warm a cloth correctly. She has never been taught. The remedy was free. The replacement is a $400 million industry. The baby is no calmer. Number 9, fennel water for trapped gas. Every American kitchen in 1955 contained a small glass jar of fennel seeds. When a baby's stomach was distended and the crying was sharp and rhythmic, the mother crushed half a teaspoon, poured boiling water over the seeds, let it steep for 10 minutes, and gave the baby 1 cooled teaspoon with a spoon. Within an hour, the trapped gas was released. She did not know the word anethol. She did not need to. She knew the remedy worked because her own mother had used it on her, and the line went back 300 years. The modern mother has never seen a fennel seed in her own kitchen. The jar is gone. Number 8, onion juice in the ear for earache. When a 1950s baby woke at 2 in the morning screaming and pulling at one ear, the mother did not panic and did not phone the doctor. She walked to the kitchen, sliced a yellow onion, wrapped a small piece in a clean cheesecloth, warmed it briefly in her hand, and held it gently against the outside of the baby's ear for 20 minutes. The pain stopped. The baby slept. By morning, the inflammation had often resolved on its own. The onion did not enter the ear canal, it worked from the outside. The warmth improved circulation. The sulfur compounds reduced inflammation. The pressure from the wrapped onion gave the baby something to lean into. The modern mother takes the same baby to a clinic, receives a prescription for amoxicillin, and pays a copay. The CDC has confirmed that at least 30% of those prescriptions are medically unnecessary. The onion knew the difference. The clinic does not. Number 7, sugar and butter on the gums for teething. This one sounds primitive. It was not. The 1950s mother mixed a tiny pinch of granulated sugar with a small dab of unsalted butter and rubbed it directly onto the baby's swollen gums with her finger. The sugar triggered immediate saliva production, which contains natural anti-inflammatory enzymes. The butter coated the tissue and lubricated the area where the new tooth was breaking through. The baby stopped crying within 60 seconds. The modern mother reaches for benzocaine gel. The American Academy of Pediatrics has now warned against benzocaine in infants under 2 years due to the risk of a serious blood disorder called methemoglobinemia. The remedy that replaced the butter turned out to be dangerous. The butter never was. Notice the pattern in everything so far. None of these remedies were complicated. None of them required training. None of them required permission or expertise. They required only one thing: a mother who understood that her baby's care was her standing assignment, not something she outsourced to a clinic, a manufacturer, or a stranger with a degree. That assignment is what disappeared. The remedies were just the consequences.
Number 6. Chamomile tea before sleep. Every American baby in 1955 was given 2 ounces of cooled, weak chamomile tea in a bottle 30 minutes before sleep. This was not folk wisdom. It was printed in 3 of the 4 most widely sold baby care books in America. By 1985, every one of those books had quietly removed it. The chamomile contained apigenin, a compound that calmed the nervous system, relaxed the digestive tract, and induced drowsiness within 20 minutes. The modern mother does not own chamomile tea bags meant for her baby. She has been told to sleep train. She has been told to use a white noise machine. She has been told to consider melatonin drops. The infant sleep industry is now valued at over $15 billion. The tea cost a dime. It worked in 20 minutes. It is gone. Number 5. Cold cabbage leaves for fever. When a 1950s baby ran a fever, the mother did not reach for liquid acetaminophen because liquid acetaminophen for infants did not yet exist. She walked to her icebox, peeled off 2 cool raw cabbage leaves, and placed them under the baby's armpits and across the forehead. Within 20 minutes, the fever dropped by 1 to 2 degrees. The mechanism is now understood. Cabbage leaves contain glutamine and anti-inflammatory glucosinolates that draw heat from the skin. The American mother has been taught that fever is an enemy to be suppressed with medication. The 1950s, mother understood that fever was the body's tool, and her job was to keep the baby comfortable while the tool did its work. 2 cabbage leaves, 6 cents. Done. Number 4. Breast milk for everything else. Diaper rash, pink eye, cradle cap, stuffy nose, cuts, scratches, insect bites, sunburn. In 1955, the answer to all of it was 1 squirt of breast milk applied directly to the affected area. The mothers learned it from their mothers, and their mothers had learned it from theirs. Breast milk contains lactoferrin, lysozyme, immunoglobulin A, and a cocktail of antibodies tailored to whatever the mother had recently encountered. It is the most powerful topical antimicrobial agent the human body produces. The remedy was always free. The mother's body made it on demand. And yet, by 1980, American mothers had been told the cream from a tube was better. The cream from the breast was forgotten. Number 3. Letting the baby cry briefly without panicking. This is not a remedy. It is a refusal. The 1950s mother understood that not every cry required intervention. Some cries were hunger. Some were tiredness. Some were gas. And some were simply the baby learning to settle himself. She had been taught by her own mother to wait, listen, and identify the cry before responding. This was not neglect. It was diagnosis. The modern mother has been told that any unanswered cry causes trauma. She intervenes within seconds, often before she has identified what the cry actually is. The baby learns that crying is the only signal that produces a response. The 1950s mother developed an ear for her own baby. She could tell hunger from gas, from boredom from pain, by the second cry. The modern mother often cannot. The skill required the courage to wait. Number 2, knowing the baby's normal before something went wrong. The 1950s, mother spent most of her waking hours within 6 feet of her baby. Not because she was overprotective, because the baby was simply where she was, and she was where the baby was. By the second month, she knew her baby's normal temperature by the feel of his forehead. She knew his normal breathing by the rise of his chest. She knew his normal color, his normal weight in her arms, his normal smell. When something was wrong, she knew it within minutes because she had hundreds of hours of normal stored in her body. The modern mother is told to track temperature with a digital thermometer, breathing with a sock sensor, weight with a clinic visit. The data replaces the knowing. The knowing was faster and more accurate. A mother who knows her baby's normal does not need a sensor to tell her something is wrong. She knows before the sensor does. Number 1, carrying her baby's well-being as her standing assignment. This is the meta remedy, the one that produced all the others. The 1950s mother did not wait until her baby was sick to start being responsible for him. She carried the responsibility every minute of every day, awake or asleep, in the house or out of it. The responsibility was not a role she switched on. It was the default state of her existence. This standing assignment is what produced everything else on this list. The warm flannel, the fennel water, the onion in the ear, the butter on the gums, the chamomile tea, the cabbage leaves, the breast milk, the patience to wait through a cry, the database of normal. None of these required willpower because they were not separate tasks. They were small expressions of a single underlying commitment. When that commitment broke down, somewhere between 1975 and 2000, the remedies became disconnected from each other. They became individual choices that had to be researched, scheduled, or learned from a stranger on the internet. Without the underlying commitment, each one felt optional. Most modern mothers opted out of most of them. The remedies can be rebuilt. Any of them can be learned in an afternoon. But the underlying commitment, the standing assignment, is not something you can buy at a store or download from an app. It has to be assumed, deliberately, as the default state of being a mother in your own home. 10 remedies, none of them rare, all of them gone. Not because babies became different, but because the mothers were told that someone else knew better. The babies have not changed. The mothers have just been told they are not enough. The remedies are still available. Any woman reading this can take up the standing assignment again. The only thing that has to change is the assumption about who is responsible.